Hello.
Hello there.
Welcome to the journey of us trying to find accommodation in London.
Since we got here, we were like, once we find a permanent place, we're going to film a little story about, how we got there. And we thought that was going to take just a little while. We arrived in London 2.5 months ago.
Yeah.
And we've only been settled for about a week.
It has been a journey, and I feel like, I'm not sure if you're watching this just because you watch our videos, like you know us, or you've clicked on this because you're moving to London. But whatever the reason, I feel like before we moved, I was quite anxious. I was actually equally anxious about a job and accommodation.
Yeah.
And the job stuff has really been a lot easier than I thought, and the accommodation has been a lot harder.
Yeah. I do think us being a couple who want to live in the same room,
Yes.
has been part of the struggle.
Most of the struggle, yeah.
So if you are a solo individual, you will probably not have as much of a struggle as we
Yes. But we
did. Or
thought,
if you have a higher budget.
definitely. But we thought we would do a little video just explaining everything we did, some mistakes we made, some things we learnt. And yeah, hopefully it will either help you or just be semi-interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. If
Or at least make you feel like you're not the only one who's
struggling. Yes. Okay, we found a nice place in the park just to sit and just do we're gonna, also sorry if you hear the sounds, the train line is not super far away.
Yeah, I don't know if you're able to hear it, you might be able to, but...
We're gonna try keep it relatively brief, because you
as
don't
brief
care
as
about...
we can with everything that happened.
Yeah, you don't care about every single detail. Alright, I think the best place to start is at the start.
Start at the very beginning.
Yeah, so,
Very good place to
before we... What's that from?
Sound of Music.
Oh, yeah. Before we left, I was doing I was on Aussies in London only,
Yeah.
I think. Only.
And we checked...
Facebook page.
We checked Spare Room a couple of times.
Not much.
But not much.
So Aussies in London, they would do a weekly flat rental post on their page, and so people would post I'm looking for this, but people would also post we're looking for roommates for this place. So I started looking so briefly because we were looking for mid-Feb and it was mid-Jan maybe, and so we couldn't really find much. However, that is how I found our first sublet. I literally was just messaging people. Something we discovered is that if you're looking for a couple, 99% of places don't say if they accept couples, and 98% won't.
Yeah. So you just have to message... Oh my God. You just have to message everyone and be like, hey, would you accept a couple?
Yeah.
And most of the time they're either going to say no or they're never going to respond.
Yes.
Actually, something that we're going to do is we're actually going to go through and count how many people we messaged in total, and at the end of this video we will put a count on the screen and you will see how long this took.
But yes, that's how I found our sublet. I messaged a girl and I was just hey, this place looks great, would you accept a couple? And she was basically no, the place, my housemates don't want a couple. However, the available room is permanent, but I am going away for 3 weeks or whatever back home to Australia, so you can sublet my room because they'll accept a couple for 3 weeks. And we were sure. So it worked pretty well. So that's all we had done, basically.
Yeah.
I basically stopped looking after that because I was okay, now I've pushed it another 3 weeks. There's no point looking anymore.
And the other thing is that we've heard online and we have seen happening is there scams galore out there. So everyone's do not pay for a room until you've seen the room. So we couldn't really be looking while we were at home anyway.
Yes.
So sorry about the birds. I don't know why we're all screaming.
It's spring. I don't know. I guess it's mating season.
Yeah.
Fast forward to the 12th of February. We landed from our trip in Turkey. We went to stay with a friend for a week because the sublet was another week, whatever. We go to the sublet, 3 weeks, all good. So now we're in 20th of February.
We're in a sublet. We have an end date of that sublet.
Yep. And nothing.
And no accommodation after. Actually, that's not true. We had an Airbnb booked that we could cancel.
But no permanent.
But nothing permanent.
Yeah.
And so we were like, great, 3 weeks should be plenty of time
Yeah.
to find a place.
Yeah.
Cut to like 5 days in, and we've messaged so many people,
Yes.
and we've organised like 2 viewings.
I would say.
And that's when the vibes really started to dip.
From the day we landed, we started messaging people, and we'll see at the end of this video, but I'm gonna guess I messaged 150 people.
In total?
Yes, maybe
Yeah,
150.
I reckon it's similar. That's each.
Each, yeah.
Anyway, so we're in the
We're
sublet.
in the sublet on the 20th of Feb. We spend, I would say, for the next 2 weeks, we are messaging people every waking moment. And that's
Yeah.
not an exaggeration. We would watch stuff on the laptop while messaging people. We would wake up messaging people. We would go to work messaging people. It
Yeah.
was all the time.
Yeah, mostly
From
to get ghosted.
our messages would always be, do you accept couples? From the 200 people we messaged, I would say 30
got back to us, and of those, I'm gonna say like 23 were like, no, sorry, we don't accept couples.
maybe more.
So I think while we were in Earlsfield, which was where our first sublet was, we did 6 viewings.
Yeah, maybe 6-8 viewings.
Yeah. And all of them, we only had a few like non-negotiable things.
Yeah.
But all of them met our non-negotiables.
Yeah.
But then all of them had several things that were our like nice to haves that like just
Yeah.
they didn't meet. And we didn't want to jump into a place
Yes.
that we were just compromising on. So like,
Yeah.
for example, one place, we actually talked about this in the vlog when we went to it, was out in Ruislip, which is 40 minutes on the tube from central London.
Yeah, while it is on a tube, it's almost the end of the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One place we went to, we just didn't feel safe in the area. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't that nice.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what other viewings we had that week. Like 2 of them got cancelled the day of.
That happens quite often.
Yeah.
Be prepared for that.
Because people, again, because everything's so last minute, they have one viewing and that person's like, great, I like it. And then they're like, done. And they cancel every other viewing.
Yeah.
So unless you are that first person,
Yeah.
prepare to have your viewing cancelled.
Yeah.
And then we had a viewing in Streatham
Yeah.
for a place that we quite liked. It was a good situation in that everyone in the house was moving out, and we would be moving in with other people
That we could help
We could
choose.
help find.
Yes.
And we were like, this is a great opportunity to like kind of vet our own housemates
Yeah.
before we live with them. That's not really an opportunity that you get
No.
when you move into a share house.
And suddenly we had moved from, like, within the space of a couple of weeks, we had suddenly flipped from looking for places to looking for people.
Yeah.
Which was weird.
Which you also get ghosted on.
Long story short,
We found people.
We were in this place. We couldn't sign the lease until all rooms were filled. So we were just subletting off the old tenants.
Which as we've said, we've done a couple of sublets. Most places don't actually allow you to sublet. So
Yeah, we weren't subletting properly.
It's kind of under the radar. Is that the saying? Off the books that
Yeah.
you are subletting. But that was okay because
It was fine.
the landlord was aware, so that was fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were looking for people. We did end up finding them, but we were on like a deadline because there was a date that like rent was due, and we wanted to sign the lease by that date.
Yeah.
Which was, I think, the 4th of March.
The
3rd of March.
Yeah.
I think we found.
No, hold on. It was the 3rd of April. Because
Oh, sorry. Yes,
yeah.
the 3rd of April. So we, I think, found the last roommate. I'm gonna say the 31st of March.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
a few days to spare.
Yes.
But we were like, incredible.
We found everyone.
Found it. We're
and
ready
they
to
were
go.
people we liked, and
Yeah.
we were like looking forward to it.
And then we call the real estate agent, and we're like, who we have spoken to 3 to 4 times
Yeah.
at this point. They are fully aware that we are intending to move in, all this jazz. Like they have told us you can't sign the lease until all of the rooms are full. So we are busting our butts trying to find people for this room.
Again, I would say another 100 messages or so.
And we finally have people, and we call the real estate agent, and we're like, we are ready to go. We have the people, and they tell us that there are licensing issues with the property and we actually cannot sign the lease.
Yeah, like we as a couple.
That they knew about the very first time that we spoke to them, and they just neglected to tell us. Anyway, we had to leave that place.
We have to leave. We weren't devastated because we had made quite a few compromises and there were quite a few red flags. We basically took it over from a bunch of boys who just like hadn't looked after it, and we were worried to take over the lease and then be blamed.
Yeah.
So we
so
weren't.
It was kind of a blessing in disguise.
We weren't devastated.
But also it then meant so this all happened early April.
Yeah.
So we had spent a month and a half looking for a place and then swapping to looking for people, and then suddenly we were back to nothing and looking for a place again.
Yes.
With nowhere to stay.
So we're mid-April. We would like to move out by
This all happened with the place not being able to sign it while our friend Hayley was here, which was like a vlog a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, so, that vlog where we were having fun, we were also like, we don't have anywhere to live.
So we found that out like a couple of days into her trip.
Yeah.
And we were like, you know what? That is a problem for later down the line.
Yeah.
And we kind of ignored it for 2
did.
weeks.
And
so
it was nice.
We cut 2 weeks out just from us being like, this is not a problem for right now.
Yeah.
We could have had 2 extra weeks to look, and we chose not to.
Now we're in mid-April. We were back on the hunt. Luckily for us, I would say it only took
a few messages,
maybe a week, and a couple of messages.
We'd become a lot more discerning by this point as to who we messaged, because sometimes we learnt more about which places will and won't accept a couple, because there are laws about that as well, which we didn't know at the start of our journey. But then also the different, like, laws are different in different councils.
Yeah.
So we kind of knew which councils to be looking at. So we had like a bit of a better idea. We weren't just like blindly messaging everyone.
Yes. Also at this point, Krissie had gotten her job. We were able to up the budget a little bit. We also upped it out of desperation because we were like, look, our budget wasn't working before. This is what we managed to find.
Yeah.
We need to up it a little bit. So we did that. It only took a couple of messages. It was our like second viewing.
Yeah.
Or was it? No, it was maybe our fourth viewing or something.
After leaving
Streatham. Because we did that day where we went to like West Ham.
Oh, that's true.
And
yes.
Chiswick. So I think it was like our fourth or fifth viewing. We just got lucky, but I think that's how it's going to have to happen for everyone. We basically found a girl who was tired of looking for people and a landlord that was desperate for tenants. That's what happened pretty much.
And so like, I think we did a viewing on a Friday. It was Good Friday actually, because it was the long weekend. Yeah. We did the viewing on Good Friday, and the next rental period started the next Friday.
Yeah.
So by Tuesday after the public holidays, there was 3 days left until the rent was due
of this new place.
And the landlord, because we're a couple, tried to up the price.
Yeah, she did. So we went to this viewing. The tenant had already asked the landlord if a couple could move in before the viewing, so we knew it was okay. There was a price that like the tenant gave us. I texted the landlord and said like, hey, like we'd love to move in. The current tenant likes us, we like her, let's do it. And then the landlord said, all good, just because you're a couple, this is the new price for the room. And it was
50% more.
It was
than
50% more.
price.
And I was like, for like a hot second, I panicked because I was like,
we're back to the start again.
We're back to the start again.
And like, obviously, it shouldn't be a surprise, but it being 50% more put it way out of our budget.
It put it out of our budget.
We wouldn't have been able to do it.
After some back and forth, negotiated
the original
price, but only because as a last ditch effort, I texted her and just said, by the way, we can move in on Friday. And she was like, deal. Thank God. So it was just luck.
Yeah.
But that's how it's going to happen, I think.
Yeah.
People don't get it from like being prepared or like looking early. Like it's luck. It's going to be luck, unfortunately, which sucks because we don't live like that.
No. And it was so stressful, and people kept saying to us like, everything happens last minute here. Like, something will come up.
Yeah.
And it did. Until it came up, it was very stressful.
Yeah, and people kept telling me that. But, like, you don't care in the moment. Because I was like, I don't care.
Like, we have nowhere to live.
Yeah, I don't care that something's going to get better. Because right now, it's not good.
Yeah.
And it sucks. And it's hard when, like, I was going to work and Krissie was just, like, sitting in sublets every night. And we were just, like, messaging people after people. And all of them were coming back saying, no couple, sorry, like, our licensing doesn't agree, or we don't want to live with a couple.
Yeah,
or,
that's, hello, hi buddy, hi.
Oh.
When people are like, the licensing doesn't allow a couple,
that's fine. It's frustrating, but it's fine.
But there were so many people that, like, we now know the licensing rules, and we were like, we know that a couple could live in this place, and they're like, no, we just don't really want to.
Yeah, we had a lot of people say, like, my housemate doesn't want a couple, or like the landlord has requested not a couple, and it's so frustrating. Anyway, so we are happy where we are now. It took what is it now, May? So it took maybe
we moved in at the end of April.
It took maybe 2.5 months.
Yeah, from when we really started looking.
But I would say it took 3 months from when we started looking. That's basically our journey.
Yeah.
But I did just want to quickly run through some things we learnt. So number 1, you need to message everyone, but you need to message everyone within the constraints of, like, what you want. Because as Krissie said, we learnt some things.
Yeah.
So
we learned areas that we didn't want to live in.
Yeah.
House sizes that we didn't want.
Exactly. So don't go crazy by messaging every single person you see. It does get tiring and it uses a lot of time, and also you get confused. Like, the amount of people I had message back be like, yeah, we take couples, and I'm like,
which place is this?
I don't know anything about this place.
Yeah.
Definitely, I mean, you will know this, but don't agree to anything. Like, don't give money over until you've gone to see the actual place, and don't move somewhere that you haven't gone to see the area either, because there was one place in particular that we went to the area, and the second we stepped off the train we were like, absolutely not. No, like, I don't care how nice the place is.
No, it just was not a nice area.
It was not a good area. Don't pay any money. Don't do a viewing online and agree before seeing the area, because the area really makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look up and understand some of the HMO laws. It matters more when you're a couple, but, like, most
it still
places,
matters though if it's going to be a place with more than three people. So if it's a share house with 2 others, you need to know the HMO laws.
Just that kind of stuff. Like, real estate agents will follow up on it. Private landlords don't, but you never really know what the situation is when you message someone. Referencing, this is a big thing. You can bypass it quite easily, but you need to get lucky. If a private landlord often doesn't care about referencing because they just want a tenant, and I don't think there's any legal requirement for them to do referencing, but all real estate agents will reference, and if you lived at home like we did, you can't pass reference checks. So
often the reference check is specifically, we need a UK landlord reference check, and we're like, we simply just moved here and we do not have one, and therefore you cannot pass referencing.
Yes. Or you often need 3 months of a job that you clearly don't have because you just moved here, or just stuff like that. So take that into account. If it says referencing required, I often skipped it because I was like, we're not going to pass, I'm not going to waste their time. It's not hard to find somewhere near transport. Most places are.
What we did at the start was, we were like, we want a place near a tube.
Yeah,
forget that. Trains are good, buses are good. You do not need to be on the tube to have good transport.
We were exclusively looking for tube, and don't. As long as you're near a train or a bus, it's fine.
Yeah.
So, good Facebook groups to join. Aussies in London, Kiwis in London. You don't have to be an Aussie or a Kiwi. You
kind of have to be, like, there's Kiwis and Aussies and there's Aussies and Kiwis, but it's kind of just for, like, us.
Aussies in London, Kiwis in London, if you're from those countries. Girls Who Rent, which is the one we were recommended the most and was probably the most useful, I would say. And then there was, like, Hackney Wick Spaces, I think it was called. Clapham Rooms for Rent, something like that. queers in London, and The Hustle, which is specifically for creatives. But yeah, I would say probably 10 pages all up.
Yeah.
Facebook pages.
Yeah.
And Spare Room. We didn't bother with Rightmove or Zoopla. We did some looking on Spare Room, but I always found it to be quite scammy. I would say stick to Facebook.
The other thing with Facebook that we liked is that whenever someone posts, you could obviously click on their profile.
Yeah.
And if their profile was made 3 weeks ago, it's probably
you can
a scam.
scroll through their photos.
But if their profile was made 12 years ago and they've got heaps of photos and people post on their wall on their back, you know it's a real person.
Yeah, or at least they're a really good scammer. Also, another thing to note, not every place includes bills in the price.
But
so
some do.
Some do, some don't say. So do factor that in, because bills can be several £100s on top.
A month, yeah.
A month. And yeah, bills are done per month.
Yeah.
I don't know, did we learn anything else?
Probably. I just can't think of. I mean, go around London, even if you don't have a viewing.
Yeah.
If you think there's an area you might like to live, go there.
Yeah.
Walk around during the
Definitely.
day and walk around after dark.
Yeah.
To kind of get a vibe of it.
I think my last piece of advice, which is something we didn't do, but something I wish we had done, was be more careful with viewings. Because I think we took every single viewing. There was only one I cancelled, which was because we realised that
they misled us about the
they
location.
did mislead us about the location, and I cancelled it once I figured that out. But every other viewing we were offered, we took, and everyone that went ahead, I'd say we actually would have lived in like half.
There was at least, I can think off the top of my head, of 3 viewings we went to where before we went to the viewing we were like, we're not really going to take this place.
100%.
Which was a waste of our time and a waste of their time, but we were getting desperate.
Yes, and I would say just be pickier. Be like, would I actually live here? Because at the end of the day, some of these viewings would cost us like 20 Australian dollars to get to and from.
Yeah.
It would cost my 1 day off a week. I understand that you're probably desperate, because we were too, but like, you don't need to go to every viewing. Really assess. Once you get the address, make sure you can get to and from work, make sure there's like good enough transport links to going into the city. Yeah, just there was quite a few viewings that we would be like, I don't think I'm not going to take this.
I would say my biggest piece of advice is, if you can, always have something booked that you can cancel if you need to.
Like an Airbnb.
Like an Airbnb, which we had for a while. And it really helped, because we were like, we've got a deadline, but if we miss the deadline, we have somewhere to stay. We've already paid for it.
Yeah, and it was like cancelled the day before. So like we had a lot of freedom.
And then once we found out we couldn't stay at the place in Streatham and we started looking again, we did not have anywhere booked, and that was scary. Because there was actually an actual cutoff that we had to find somewhere to live by.
I was also going to say, never assume you've got the place till you've signed that contract, because we had I would say it was probably less than it feels, but every time it happened, it knocked me back. Quite a few places where we were like, let's go to the next stage, and then they were like, and here's a reason why you cannot, and we were just like, okay.
And I mean, often that reason was, we've chosen someone else.
Yeah, I mean,
Which
but
they
not
can
only that, but like the Streatham place, like we were literally living there and we couldn't stay. So
actually, there was another viewing as well where we were like, this is all great, and then again we found out they had licensing issues.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And so we had to pull out of that.
Yeah, it's hard. But yeah, if you're watching this because you're doing it or you're going to do it, just keep going.
Persevering.
Because we almost gave up. I mean, Krissie was on Skyscanner looking at flights, like not
seriously.
Not an insignificant amount of time.
Not seriously, but there was one time where I was like, I am done. So done.
Yeah. Every message that was like, we don't take couples, I was like, literally another piece of my body was like, whoop, like it just came off. I was like, I am so over this.
Yeah.
It just broke me, but we did it.
We did
it with a tiny budget. Tiny.
We ended up actually finding a place that was under our max budget, which was
crazy.
Convenient.
Like tiny budget, couple, like we did it. So
Yeah.
you can too. It's just gonna be hard.
Yeah. All right. Should we reveal our final numbers? All right. So okay. Let's do it like strategically. We're gonna have to count these. So we don't know at this moment. I'll put them in when I'm editing.
Yeah.
To find Streatham, we messaged this many people. Looking for people to live with us in Streatham, we messaged this many people.
It's just gonna be a pain in the ass to look for.
That's fine. And then after we found out we couldn't stay in Streatham and we messaged again, I feel like this is going to be a pretty small number. We
it was
messaged
like
this
10
many
or something,
people.
yeah.
So in total, that is this many people that we have messaged across Facebook, Spare Room, well, like multiple Facebook groups and Spare Room.
Oh my god. Hundreds, I'm sure.
I reckon it's hundreds.
Hundreds.
I reckon that final total number is over 300.
Yeah, I'd say over 300.
We'll see. So yeah, it takes a lot.
That's it. That's the journey.
That is the journey.
It was rough, but yeah, we did it, and we do think it's worth it to live here.
Yeah, and as we've said, it wouldn't take everyone as long as it took us, because we swapped to looking for people, and then there was a couple of weeks where we just weren't looking at all.
Yeah.
So it would probably work out better, but we were also lucky with all of that, because the place that we're in now wasn't available when we first started looking.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it was always going to go.
Yeah.
Also, this is obviously just for London. The reason we moved here is because, like, work. Like, we want to work in theatre. It's what brought us to London. But we'll probably do this again in another UK city, because we don't think we're just going to stick to London the whole time.
Yeah.
So, but this is, that... I know a lot of people like, of course it's hard and expensive, it's London, but it's like, yeah, but we want to live here.
Yeah.
We think it's worth it. And so far,
and also, like, it's hard and
it
expensive
will be worth it.
in every major city in the world.
Exactly.
It's hard and expensive in Sydney and in New York and in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter.
No.
So,
Doing it for the experience.
exactly. And we... Oh,
a
little
spider.
Bug. Hey, buddy.
All right.
We got there in the end.
We got there in the end, but we hope you've enjoyed this little journey.
Yeah. If you have any questions, let us know.
Please.
About our journey, or about if you are also
what you
trying
should
to
do.
find a place.
Any advice? We can try give some. And I think that's it.
All right, we're going to go walk back to our place and get ready for work. But thank you for coming along for the saga that was us finding a place to live.
And now we can just start enjoying our time here.
Yeah.
So happy. But yeah, thank you for watching. Follow our blog. Give us a subscribe and a like and all that. Comment if you want.
Yeah. I think that's everything.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.